Hello and welcome to Cup to Hook movie night. My phone and my tablets are going to all start going off now that I'm live. Welcome everyone. I am so excited about our movie night together. My husband made some homemade pizza, so I'm going to occasionally be munching on that a little bit. Hope you have brought your project to work on and maybe something to eat and drink yourself. Hello, Valina. How are you tonight? I am so excited about our movie night. Oh, sweet. That is so good to hear. So are you going to be working on anything special tonight? And I hope it won't bother y'all that I occasionally grab a bite of this wonderful homemade pizza my husband made. I'll try to be graceful. Oh, wow. What colors did you use? I just finished a couple small Crochet Society projects from the last couple of boxes. I was wearing one earlier, a lagoon brown and white. Oh, that's pretty. Did you make it for yourself or is it a gift for someone? For your grandmother's 89th birthday. That is so sweet. Oh, she is going to love that. It's in 2 weeks. Well, you got it done in time with time to spare. You're good. I'm going to give this a minute to let a few more people try and get on. I know we have some others with us, but I can't see who they are. So if you're with us, if you'll just say hello, if you'll type in hello, so it'll tell me who is with us. But I am so excited about this movie night. I'm even more excited. Valina, I don't know, you were on the conversation with us when we talked about actually doing a crochet along project that correlates to the show we're watching, right? I think you were part of that conversation. So I'll be introducing that on Fun Day Monday and telling everybody what items they're going to need. And then the following Monday, we will start it in a tutorial. And then that way, Friday, we can work on it while we're together. I thought you were. I'm really excited. We are going to do something kind of in the line of like a Navajo type blanket. So if you have scrap yarn, this would be a perfect project to try and use up some scrap yarn. So I am very excited about it. I'm hoping tomorrow afternoon to actually start kind of writing down how it's going to start off so that we can get that going. But right now I am currently working on creating the slides for Monday to kind of talk about it and talk about what items are going to be needed. Hey, Jen. We were just talking about how we are going to work on a blanket to go with Longmire. And I don't know if you saw my comment that I responded back to you because you mentioned about the, I can't remember what the name of that blanket was now, but anyway, I did respond back to you, and we are going to create some type of like Navajo type blanket. So I'm very excited. Definitely will help use up any scraps that you may have laying around. But Monday, I'm going to put out a video for Fun Day Monday that will talk more about it and what items will be needed, so that the following Monday will be the first tutorial on how we're going to do the very first part of it. And so hopefully you can get it started. And that way Friday, when we're together talking about Longmire, we can actually work on it. So very excited. And so I've decided to make my Fun Day Mondays all about what we're working on in correlation to our movie night. And then anything we would have done on Fun Day Monday, it'll kind of go with Wednesday on the hook. But those small, quick projects, I'm going to start doing those in between the long projects to give me time to get the long projects recorded and completed. And so that way we don't miss anything. Like this past week, there was no Wednesday on the hook because I'm still working on the long project. But going forward, I'll be able to throw one of those small projects in while I'm still working on the long project. So anyway, hope that wasn't confusing. But I am so glad, because pretty much, Jen, it was your idea to do something in correlation, because you were talking about the midwife blanket, but it was in that conversation that really stimulated us even doing something with all or any show that we watch. So Bree came up with the movie night, Jen came up with the projects and brought it together. And so I am so excited. Y'all have totally made my world, made my day, made my week, made my month, my year, and my heart goes bump, bump, bump. I'm so excited. What does it say? I thought it said 2 and 3. Did it not? It is 2 and 3. Not doing 4. Oh, does it say 3 and 4? Okay. I'll correct it when we get off. It is 2 and 3. I apologize. No, we're only doing episode 2 and 3. Did you guys get to watch it? Jen says, phew. Just finished. Good. I got some tough questions. No, just kidding. But I am excited about this. It actually makes me pay more attention to shows. Nah, they're not that difficult. I mean, some of them, honestly, you may or may not get if you weren't like me taking notes. So, but as we go, it might be more challenging, you know. So, well, y'all ready to get started? Jen, I hope it won't bother you. My husband made homemade pizza, and so I'm going to be kind of munching on that a little bit here and there while it's somewhat warm. But I know we've got Valina with us. We got Jen. Who else is with us? If you'll just say hey. Hey, Roseanne. Thank you for joining us. Well, I watched them last weekend during our non-busy time at the hospital, but I did rewatch them again today when I was working on some stuff in the studio, so I refreshed my mind. All right. Well, it says we got about 6 people on here, so if y'all are ready, we can go ahead and get started. Valina, I had never seen or even heard about Longmire until we started kind of throwing out ideas of what to watch. And then after that, it seemed to pop up whenever I turn on Netflix. It would be one of the first ones that would kind of pop up. So how I find the time to watch it twice. Well, the first time I watched it, I was at work, but we were in kind of a slow moment, meaning we didn't have any patients to take care of, or at least register. I'm sure the nurses and the doctors still had people in the ER. And so whenever we're not registering someone, and it's usually somewhere around, 1 to 4:30 in the morning, I'll usually pull up my tablet and watch something and maybe even crochet a little bit on a small project. So that's how I did it the first time. I was able to watch both 2 and 3 there. And then today I was off. And so I just had it playing again while I was in my studio working on some stuff. So it was kind of playing in the background. Big Brother is listening. All right. So is anybody working on anything while we're going to be doing this tonight? I brought some scrap yarn that was left over from the Crochet Society boxes that I just finished. I did 2 projects out of it. I did the little stand bucket and pail. If you didn't see it, you can go back and look at the Cup to Hook conversation video. It was on there. And hello, Runaway Needle Red. What is your first name? And welcome to Cup to Hook movie night. And then I did a plant hanger. And so I had some of that yarn left over. And so they're kind of girly colors. So I thought maybe while we were hanging out tonight, Mare, it's nice to meet you. I would maybe make a little baby beanie. So for a newborn. And then if I still have some left over, I may try to make a little pair of socks or something. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with episode 2. And I'm going to grab a quick bite real quick. All right. So when episode 2 started, you probably have enough for an ear warmer. True that. Very true. Jen, I do too. Are you talking about like oh, what do they call those? Like the big cat, like that round cat, but do yours as a bee? Is that what you're talking about? I can't remember what they call those. Yes, it's like an amigurumi, but it's like a big round type pillow. Is that what you're talking about? I think it first came out as a stuffy cat or fat cat or something like that. Let me know if that's what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about a lovey. Okay. Okay. So not quite that big. Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that? The big round fat cat. I've seen people do other things. Um, I thought about taking that same concept and oh, your nephew does bees. Oh, that's cool. Not a lovey. Okay. And I even thought about trying to make one and adding like kind of big elephant ears and a trunk. I've even thought about making the body and trying to design butterfly wings and then create antennas like I do when I make my caterpillars. Um, so I have lots of ideas. I just don't have a lot of time. But hopefully one day I will be able to retire and just do nothing but crochet with Crochet Nation with all my yarny friends. Size of a small throw. Okay. A pillow. So will it actually be shaped like a bee then? That would be amazing and very creative. Yes. Okay. All right. So episode 2 was called The Dark Road. And I did have to go back and correct that from last week because I think I put in the title, The Dark Road, and last week's title was called The Pilot. So I did have to fix that, and I did that earlier today. All right. So The Dark Road. So when it starts out, there's a little boy, and he's walking through some grass on the side of the road. And what does he begin to put in his pockets? What does he start collecting and putting in his pockets? Yes, the correct answer is money. There was a lot of money blowing in the wind. Why did the boy scream? Yes. There was a dead body. There was a dead girl. He saw a dead girl. So then it skips over to Longmire coming and knocking on his daughter's door. And so, what did he say to his daughter when she opened the door? Oh, who is he? Longmire is Walt. That is. Oh, who are you dating? Um, Not at first. He acted like he was the law coming, and he said, um, uh, "Ma'am, there has been a noise complaint." Well, Mayor, I hope that you will still hang out with us tonight. Um, and maybe this coming week you'll be able to catch up. We just started this. This is our second night. And um, we are going to go over episodes 2 and 3. And then next week we'll go over episodes 4 and 5. But hopefully you'll be able to catch up. We are watching this off of Netflix. And And I'm writing your name down real quick so I don't forget it. Well, I've listened to several people now talk about it. So far it seems really good. I'm enjoying it. All right. So then the next question I have is, when they were getting ready to leave, what did he say about her door lock? Yes, Valina. When the boy screamed, he saw a dead body of a young girl. Y'all are all right. He said that it wasn't put on right. It definitely wasn't done by, what did I write? Durin Lock and Key. The new guy. That's right. The screws weren't flushed. It wasn't done by a pro. And so who did Katie say installed the lock? Who she tell him actually installed it? Y'all are right. She said, well, maybe I did it. And Walt told her that she doesn't do anything unless it's perfect, and asked when he could meet the new guy. Who did Katie say she was dating? Who'd she tell him she was dating? You're right, Roseanne. She says, I'm not dating anyone. She said, nobody. All right. So now we're back at the scene. Walt has arrived. He's received the call from Ruby, the secretary at the police station, letting him know that he needs to get out to this site. So he's out at the site and he's looking at the dead body. And what was on the dead girl's body that made Walt say that she was a stripper? You're right, Jen. And you are too, Roseanne. She had on body glitter. And so that's what made him say that. Then Vic said, do you want me to pull the truck up and load the body up? And Walt said no. He wanted her to call an ambulance to transport the body. And why did he say that? Why did he want her to be transported? This is fun, Roseanne. I'm excited. If I quit eating and talking, I can crochet, but I'm going to eat first. I hope y'all are crocheting though. So why did he want Vic to call an ambulance to transport her body? She does deserve better than that, but there was something else that he said. I'm just going to give it a minute and see if anyone knows. I told you some of these might be a little tough. Vampire. He said because she's someone's daughter. And so that's why he wanted her transported. Because if you remember, from episode 1, they found the guy out in the field after it had snowed. He was killed before it snowed, and Walt had put him in his truck. And so he was driving around with this dead body in his truck, and the dead body kept kind of moving in the truck. And so now he was like, we're not doing that again. This is somebody's daughter. So, which quickly we are seeing that he might be kind of a burly man, but he has a heart. We're seeing very quickly that he's very compassionate about people and that he truly cares, which makes me wonder why he has conflict with the tribal police. But maybe we'll find out. Yes, Valina, she had body glitter on her body. Now, before she was moved, Walt did something when Vic went to go up the hill to the truck to call for the ambulance. Walt bent down and he did something to the body. What did he do to the dead girl's body? Do you remember what he did? And again, this is another way of us kind of seeing into this gruff man having compassion. Tracers. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Valina. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. He did something with her shirt. What did he do with her shirt? Yes. Roseanne and Jen, you're very correct. He pulled her shirt down. He covered up her body and her side that's showing. Why do you think he did that? Is it still lagging? Let me know when I'm back. Okay, good, good, good. All right. So yes, he already said this is somebody's daughter. And being a father himself, I believe that he pulled her shirt down out of respect for the dead, for her dignity, as a father, of a daughter himself. I think he was just trying to preserve her dignity even in her death, even regardless of the fact that she apparently was stripping. So absolutely, I think it was respect. And again, to me, that's where I feel like it's showing us, the inner side of Walt. All right. Now they're back into the police station, and Branch and Vic are counting up the money that they collected off the ground and what they retrieved back from the little boy that he had stuffed in his pockets. And so this might be a tough question. There was a scratch on her side, Valina, but I don't know that it was still bleeding, but definitely to keep it from showing. All right. Do you know how much money they found around her body? They were counting it, and they gave a total of how much it was. Just, if you don't know, just give a guess. Just guess. Roseanne, you're really close. Jen, look at you. On the nose. $1,237. That was exactly correct. Good job. All right. So with all that money, Branch says, well, let me not tell you what he says because that gives the answer. What did Branch say all that money meant about the dead girl? Not about her being a stripper. That had nothing to do with it. When they got through counting all that money, he made a comment about her because she had that much money. It was an odd number, Jen, but who knows? Maybe some of it blew away before they arrived to the scene. But then again, I'm assuming that these were tips that she had gotten the last night she was working. So anybody else have an idea of what Branch said about her because of all that money? Valina got it right too. The 1,237. 1,237. Good job, Valina. He said that she couldn't be a local. If she had all that money, there was no way she was a local because nobody would make that kind of money at the bars right there where they're at. So he said she wasn't a local. So Walt is now trying to find out who this girl is. So he goes to the strip club and he's sitting there. The guy asked him if he had a warrant. He was asking him if he recognized the girl in the picture. And the guy asked him if he had a warrant. He says, nope, but I'm going to wait. So he sits down to wait, and another stripper comes up to him. So how did that stripper get Walt to go to a back room? Y'all are right. She took his hat. Why did she take him to a back room? Why would she not just talk to him there? Yes, Jen. To keep what she had to say private. Plus, right, Roseanne, she could get fired or in trouble talking to the sheriff if she was seen talking to the sheriff. So she had to make it look like she was, you know, taking him back to the back room for some fun. All right. So while they're talking, she asked Walt why he wanted to know about this girl, but she called the girl by name. Do you remember what the dead girl's name is? Yes, Valina, you are correct. She took his hat. Hey, Alicia. What are you and my nephew Dakota doing tonight? Yes, Valina, because she could get fired if she was seen talking to the sheriff. Roseanne, you're correct. Her name was Hannah. Good job. All right. So now we have learned who she is, and this girl at the strip club. Awesome. I'm glad you're on here. Jen, um, so she learns that this girl takes her home sometimes, but she doesn't actually take her home. You got it, Valina. Her name is Hannah. Y'all are doing good. Good job. So she would not ever let anyone take her home. She would only let them take her to this convenience store. And sometimes she would get to work, the girl told him, um, because some guy would drop her off in this pink and brown car. So Walt goes, him and Vic go, and they find this convenience store. And then they start driving around until they find the brown and pink car. And then they go and they knock on this door. Oh, no, excuse me. I'm going to correct myself. They don't knock on the door. Walt just walks in. They walk in. And there's 3 kids, 2 guys and a girl, sitting on a sofa, and they're playing video games. And when he walks in and they get startled and see him and stands up, it then dawns on him what the language is on the card that he found on Hannah's body back at the crime scene. And so what language did Walt say the note found on the dead girl was written in? Okay. Anybody else want to give it a go? Ranspringer. Jen, I'll know when you tell me. Valina, you have any idea? Alicia, I don't know if you're still with us. Pennsylvania Dutch. And so Walt then says Hannah is Amish, but the boy pops up and says, Amish? We're not Amish. We're what? Very true, Valina. Amish. But the boys, that's right. He says that they're not Amish. They're Mennonites. All right. It does not tell us who all the kids were, but we learned who one of them is. And so my question was, who were the kids in the house where Hannah lived? But we only learned who one of them is. And who is he? That's right, ladies. It's her brother. I'm going to ask you a tougher question. Do you know what his name is? We don't learn his name right there. We learn it when Walt goes to talk to her parents. But can you remember what her brother's name is? The other one to be her boyfriend. Never. No, it's not Noah, Roseanne, but it is a biblical name. You're right, Valina. They're Mennonites. It starts with an S. And he is her brother. It was Samuel. Samuel is her brother's name. Why were they there? Why were they in this house? Why were they not with their family? What did Samuel tell Walt while they were there? Yes, Jen. Very good. Samuel. Can I click the live button? I'm not sure. Are we all together now? Are we together? Can you guys hear me okay? No, that's not it, Jim. Their parents are alive. Um, Roseanne said they ran away. Okay. No, it's not because it's against their beliefs. All right. So they were there for rite of passage, is what it was called. And rite of passage is where they basically leave their family to determine if they want to continue living like Mennonites or if they want to live like the English. But we later learn that Hannah's mom actually sent Hannah away. And I'm not going to discuss just yet why Samuel left, because we're going to talk about that towards the end of our questions. So they were there technically as a rite of passage. That's why the other kids were there, the other girl and the other boy as well. But Hannah particularly was there because her mom purposely sent her away. And it had something to do with her father. Springer. I'm not sure, Jen. All I know is that they were explaining that it was like a rite of passage. He was mean to the kids. And I don't think Samuel didn't want to leave. He wanted to stay. But we'll talk more about that toward the end. All right. So the next question. All right. So they go and look in Hannah's room. That's right, Jen. Okay. All right. So you're probably trying to think of what the formal name of it is. Because you're exactly right. That's where they leave for a bit to see if they still want to be Amish. You're very correct. All right. So Walt and Vic have now gone into Hannah's room, which is very nice and neat and tidy. And they're looking just to see if they can find anything to assist them or give them a clue on why this has happened to her. And they find something in her Bible. Do you know what they find in her Bible? Actually, that picture card with the tree on it was on her body. That was on her body. That's Vic found it on her body. But Jen, you're close. You said something about, you said picture card, but it was a picture. Who was it a picture of? Valina, the card with the tree on it was on her body. That's why when Walt came into the room, into the house, and saw the kids and saw the girl with the little Amish hat on it, that's why he said Pennsylvania Dutch. You're right, Jen. It was a picture of Hannah and a boy. And so Walt questioned Samuel, who's this boy? And Samuel said he didn't know, that he made it a habit not to inquire about his sister's love life. So Branch and Vic go to a strip club to see if they can find out who the boy in the picture is. So this leads us up to the next question. How did Vic get everyone's attention at the strip club to get the name of the guy in the photo that's with Hannah? You're right, Roseanne. It was taken in a photo booth. It was like a strip, and it had like 4 different pictures of them. which was a photo booth picture. Pictures. You got it, Jen. Yes, Roseanne. She did. She got on the strip pole and she took her uniform shirt off and said, now that I got your attention, I need just one eensy weensy little name. Did she get the name? Or did she get a name? She did. Do you remember what name she was given? Yes, they did get their eyes full. You're right, Valina. She took her shirt off by the strip pole. And Jen, you're correct. His first name was Davis. And Roseanne, you are also correct. His full name was Davis Turner. All right. So now we're skipping over. Walt now goes to talk to Hannah's parents in Amish country. And he gets to the house. He knocks on the door. And do you remember who comes to the door? You're right, Valina. Davis Turner. Good job. Y'all are doing good. Now y'all have an idea what kind of questions I'm going to be asking. Y'all are right. It's Hannah's mother. She comes to the door and he starts talking to her. And then the dad walks by. And what does he say to the wife? About talking to who? Y'all are both right. That it's disrespectful to talk to strange men. Because Amish women are not allowed to be alone, especially if they're married, with men that are not their husband or their sons. All right. So Walt then goes to talk to her dad. And what does her dad say when Walt tells him that his daughter is dead? You're right, Roseanne. Roseanne says she was gone to me a long time ago. And that's what he said. He said she was lost to me a long time ago, which he said it very cold, like there was no emotions, nothing. All right. So now we're back at the police station. and we find out who the pink and brown car belongs to, because it doesn't belong to Samuel. Someone is technically letting them use it, even though Samuel doesn't have a driver's license, so he really shouldn't be driving. But we find out who the pink and brown car belongs to. Do you remember who that is? Okay. Good guess, Roseanne. It does start with a C. His name is Cyrus. Um, Cyrus Brooks is his name. And Walt says to him, he and Walt know each other. And Walt says to him, I didn't know you were a Mennonite. And he said, yes. He says, I left blank years ago. Do you know how many years ago he left the Amish? Roseanne's got it. Good job. He left the Amish 17 years ago. Good job, my friend. That was awesome. So Walt gets Cyrus to translate the card that y'all were talking about, the picture card with the tree on it. He gets Cyrus to translate it. And he says that it's a Bible quote. Do you remember what it says? Wow, Roseanne, that's impressive. Matthew 12:30. That is where it's found. And it says, whoever is not with me is against me. Walt asked Cyrus if the picture of the tree meant anything. And Cyrus said that it looked like the cottonwood trees. You're fine, Roseanne. You just impressed me with that 17 years. All right, so he said that it looked like the cottonwood trees that lined the dark road. What is the dark road? It is a meeting place. It's the road where parents were secretly meeting their kids that either ran away or left for the rite of passage. Now, what was Cyrus's role? Because I mean, remember he's left the Amish country. He's no longer participating in the Amish or Mennonite ways. But what does he do for these kids who've left and their parents, some of their parents? You're close, Roseanne. He was secretly doing something. He's the one who, you're right, Roseanne. He's the one who was transporting notes back and forth between these kids and their parents. Now, Walt later asked Hannah's mom why they were coded. And they were coded for safety, so that if they got in the wrong hands, that somebody else would not be able to read it or understand what it was saying. All right. So now at some point in time during the episode, Walt talks to Henry. Now, if everyone remembers, Henry is Walt's best friend. He's an Indian. He owns the red pony. All right. He talks to Henry about the fact that Katie, his daughter, is dating someone. Valina, I think you answered this earlier, so you should get this right. When Henry asked Katie who she was seeing, first she asked if her father put him up to it, and he downplayed it. And then she told him it was an older guy by about 120 years, and that he was also what? He was 120 years older than her, and he was also a... You're right, Jen. That's correct, Roseanne. And Valina got it earlier. She told him he was a vampire. And of course, she's joking with him. And he's like, all right, I get the point. I get the point. Mind my own business. All right. Now they found Davis. They found Davis Turner. I know, right? There's Valina. Okay. All right. So Walt now has Davis in the interrogation room, and he's talking with him. And my question is, did Davis know that Hannah was Amish? He was talking about how Hannah was his soulmate, the love of his life. Y'all are right. He said no. He said he just thought she was a really religious girl that got brought up in a strict home. He says he didn't realize she was Amish. So later on, Walt goes to the dark road. And who does he run into on the dark road? Who does Walt run into on the dark road? You're right, Roseanne. He runs into Hannah's mother. And the next question we've already answered, and that was, who did she say helped pass coded notes between her and Hannah? And it was Cyrus. What did Walt tell Hannah's mother on the dark road? he told her something very specific. Y'all are all right. He ran into Hannah's mom and he was telling her that Hannah was dead. I was kind of surprised because that meant that Hannah's dad did not tell her. He just told her that she was never coming home. But he didn't tell her that she was actually dead. So, of course, she breaks down. So later on, we find out that Hannah and Cyrus, not Davis, but Cyrus and Hannah have a joint bank account. Do you remember how much money they said was in that joint bank account? Look at y'all. Y'all are rocking it. So you're right, $16,000. And Cyrus tells Walt that that is all Hannah's money. She has saved that up. He didn't touch it. Valina, you are so right. 16,000. It was not his money. He didn't touch it. He didn't do nothing with it. It was all her to save up for a better life. Walt then tries to see if Davis and Cyrus knows each other. Did they? That's right, Jen. A for the class. Whoop, whoop. Y'all should be very proud of yourself. Y'all are acing this Q&A. I love the hand claps, Roseanne. All right. Roseanne says no. Jen says yes. Valina, I'm going to see what you say. And then I'll tell you the answer. Yep, that was a question, Jen. I was giving Valina a chance to see. Because Roseanne and Jen, one of you is right and one of you is incorrect. And the answer is no. They both said that they did not know who each other was. So Walt actually ends up handing then Davis a picture, not the photo booth pictures, but a picture of a group of them around the pink and brown car. Because that's how he asked Davis if he knew Cyrus. Because he took Cyrus and he said to he showed Davis to Cyrus, and Cyrus said he'd never seen him before. Walt took Davis a picture, and Davis did not recognize Cyrus, but he said he recognized somebody else in the picture. Who did he recognize in the picture? Valina, you were wrong, honey. They did not know each other. You'd already forgotten the question. Davis recognized somebody in the picture. Because he said that he had seen Hannah at the club arguing with this person. And it's actually somebody that we've already talked about tonight. It was her brother Samuel. He recognized Samuel in the picture. Didn't know his name, but just recognized him. All right, we're almost done with this episode. So who killed Hannah? Y'all are correct, ladies. It was her brother. It was technically an accident. He was chasing after her because, that's right, Valina. So here comes back into play about why Samuel ever left his parents' house. Because remember, he didn't want to leave. But his dad sent him. That's right, Jen, she did. His dad sent him and said, don't come home unless you come home with her. And so he didn't like what she was doing. So he was trying to talk with her at the club that night. And so later they were together and he started chasing after her. And she stumbled and she fell and she hit her head on a rock and was killed from that. You're very correct, all of you. Very good job, ladies. All right. Last technical question of this episode. That's right, Valina. It was her brother on accident. Who is Katie seeing? Who is she dating? At the very end, we find out who she's dating. Yes. The roof is going to be raised when Walt finds out. That's right, Valina. Hannah's dad said, you come back with Hannah or you don't come back at all. That is very, very correct. So yes, it is going to be quite a day when Walt finds out that his daughter is dating Branch. The very man who we learned from last episode is running for sheriff against him. So, yeah. So real quick, I got 2 discussion questions to end that episode. Why do you think that Mr. Clausen, Hannah's dad, did not tell her mom that Hannah was dead? Why do you think that Mr. Clausen didn't tell? I don't have answers for this. This is just for us to discuss. Why do you think he didn't tell her? I agree. I think he is a control freak, Jen. I think you're also correct, Roseanne. He didn't own her as a daughter anymore. And I think part of the Amish culture is the men are kind of proud, and even though they have large families, they like to be in control. They like to take care. They like to be in charge. And also, and I do agree, Roseanne, he probably was a little bit embarrassed. He drove his daughter away. Now he'll never see her. And I also think that part of the reason he may not have told Hannah's mom is because of the fact that since she's dead and she's never coming back, it would be easier for Hannah's mom to live and go on thinking that her daughter's out there living a better life versus no life at all. So I think you ladies are more on the right side. He's a very proud man. He was embarrassed. He's a control freak more than he really had compassion for his wife. Because clearly, when Walt comes back to the house, if you remember when the husband, Hannah's dad, steps out, mom's right there. And she walks out and she kind of gives him a look like, I'm staying. And so I don't think they have a very close, loving relationship to begin with. So I don't think he really did it out of compassion to spare her. I think you ladies are more on the right track. With your answer. All right. We asked this at the end of episode 1. Perhaps if you've watched on, you know the answer. So if you do know the answer, then don't give the right answer. Don't spoil it. But if you don't know it, then try and take a educated guess, because I have no clue. What happened to Walt's back that an Indian woman had to stitch him up? Because remember, it shows us at one point scars on his back when he's in the shower in the very beginning of the first episode. And now we get a glance at an Indian woman actually literally sewing him up. So since I don't know, this is my guess. I feel like it's one or maybe two reasons. An obvious one might be that he got in some kind of trouble or tough on the Indian reservation, because clearly there's no love there between him and the majority of the Indian tribal police. My other thought is that maybe he got whipped. And that's a good guess because of the way it comes down the back of his back like that. My other thought was, at the end of episode 1, they alluded to us that it's clear that his wife's ashes are in the tea box. Then it alludes him at the side of a highway with a cross. So clearly that must be where his wife. I'm going to come back to you, Valina, in a minute and respond to your answer. That she maybe died in a car accident. So I'm wondering if he was somehow a part of or was in that car accident with her because of what Henry says to him. I don't know. I apologize. This is my son. Let me make sure he's out of town. Let me make sure everything's okay. Hello? Hey. Well, I appreciate that. Are you going to be up a while? Because I'm actually on a live video and they're actually watching me talk to you. All right. I'll call you in just a little bit. I love you too. Bye. Sorry about that, guys. That was my youngest son, my 21-year-old. He and a friend have gone to a kind of getaway weekend, and they were letting me know that they made it there safely. So raised him right. Yeah, hi, son. So he was like, oh my. He's the one who helped me get my YouTube channel going. He's the one who taught me everything I know. So yeah, I don't know. Yes, thank goodness they made it there safely. So I don't know either. Oh, Valina, you mentioned maybe he fell over while drunk in his truck. So I don't know, because I'm not sure if he's a drinker or he have once been and he's not now. Because when he had the truck accident in the first episode, they made a big deal of showing all those empty beer cans. But he later said that they weren't his. And if you look at them, they're not the same brand, because he was going around and collecting them like that were littered on the ground. So they weren't his. So I don't know. Is he a drinker or not? So these are all great thoughts. And so we'll have to guess. All of us will have to wait and see and find out. And Jen, you said you can't remember, so that's great. So we'll have to just kind of stay tuned on that. All right. We don't have near as many questions for episode 3. And if anybody has to go, I know this is kind of running on, but I'm having fun. I hope y'all are. Okay, Jen. So Jen has clarified that he does still drink sometimes. So, Valina, I have to lie to you sometimes. Oh. I love it, Jen. Y'all, this is amazing. I'm having so much fun. Okay, so Valina, who knows? Maybe he did fall down from drinking. Maybe he did get drunk. I guess we'll find out together eventually. All right. Episode 3 is called A Damn Shame. And that was the name of the title. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said it. Let's see. So it starts off, and Walt and Henry are with several other Indians, and they're in what's called a sweat lodge. It didn't say that, but just from my knowledge, that's a sweat lodge is where they come together and kind of do like a cleansing of the spirit, a cleansing of the soul. And so they're in this sweat lodge, and, you know, a phone rings, and Walt is like, what? And then Henry is telling this other guy, don't bring that phone in here. But I just answered the question. Oh, I got you, Valina. Wish I didn't have to go, but I have to. My phone is going to die. Thank you. Well, I'm glad you were with us. If you want, maybe you can catch the replay later. But if not, definitely come back next Friday. I'm having so much fun with this. Take care of you. So what interrupted the men at the sweat lodge? The phone rang. Who is it for? Everybody knows. It was for Walt. All right. Something was on fire. He got the call because something was on fire. What was on fire? That's right, the barn. The barn was on fire. All right. So what did the firemen try to give Walt before he went into the barn? He tried to hand him something. Because he was trying to stop him from going into the barn, and Walt was going anyway. And Vic said, we're going. And because there were horses in there. And Walt says, we're not going, I'm going. And so the fireman tried to hand him something. It wasn't the watch, Roseanne. You got it, Jen. He tried to hand him his fireman's hat. And, of course, Walt did not take it. Why did he not take it? What did he say? Do you remember? This man has a dry sense of humor. I love it. Y'all are both right. I don't need a hat. I have one. He had his cowboy hat on. All right. And this goes back to you, Roseanne. What did Walt find that made him believe that the dead body was Ray? That's right. He found the watch. All right. So later the next day, when Vic and Walt have come back to the barn, it's no longer burning. And they're kind of taking everything in, removing the body, and then the dead horses are laying there. What did Walt say? He quoted a quote. And I'm going to say the quote. I'm going to see if you can tell me who originally said the quote. Walt quoted, "An outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man." Who did he quote that from? The outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man. All right, Jen, you said Winston Churchill. And Roseanne, you said Walt Whitman, but then you said right, Jen. And Jen, you are correct. It was Winston Churchill. Although I do love Walt Whitman too, Roseanne. All right. What else did Walt find in the barn? He found something else over by the body. Yay, Jen. Yes. He found a 45 gauge gun. All right. So they've now gone in to talk to Alice, Ray's wife. And what did she tell Walt Ray was preparing for? He was preparing for something in Houston. All right. Jen, you said a horse show, and Roseanne, you said a better life. And Roseanne, she is right, but technically, in a sense, you are too in a roundabout way. But yes, he was preparing for a horse competition. All right. TJ is Ray's son. What did TJ find under the keyboard to the computer? Yes, Roseanne. He found a note and it had his name on it and his mom's name, and it was a suicide note. And you're correct, Jen, a death note. It was very short, to the point. All right. What did Walt discover about the horse he was trying to save from the fire? When he's now, they have the horse, he's laying on this floor, and the guy's taking care of him. And Walt bends down and he looks at a couple things. He notices that the horse's shoes are not taken care of. That's right, Roseanne. That the teeth were not taken care of. They had not been properly floated, and that the horse was neglected. And so that's right, Jen. The teeth and the hoofs needed repair. And why was this off to Walt? What did he know about Ray that just completely kept this from making any sense? You're right, Jen. He took care of his horses. He was a serious horseman. And so for these animals to have been neglected, it just didn't seem part of Ray's character. Of course, we do later find out that he was running low on funds. So he wasn't neglecting them because he just didn't care. He was neglecting them because he didn't have the finances. But Walt discovers that Ray did not have a life insurance policy. The house and the barn were not insured either. But what was insured? Ray did not have a life insurance policy. There was no insurance on the house or the barn, but there was insurance from Oscar Ernesto. Why did he change his name? Uh-oh. Let me know if I need to repeat the question. Okay, good, good. So Alice tells Walt that Ray changed his name. The mob was after JK. You're right, Roseanne, because Ray was mixed up a long time ago with the DePonzo crime family. And he had a falling out with them, and so he fled. And when he fled, he changed his name. Why did Walt end up arresting Alice? He didn't really have a reason to really arrest her, but he arrested her. And why did he do it? Okay, Roseanne says lying to him, and Jen says to keep her safe. It was for her protection. It was to try and keep her safe. Who did Walt end up releasing Alice to when he let her go? Because really, legally, he could not hold her. He could not detain her because she really hadn't done anything wrong. So he releases her to someone. Who does he release her to? It was not Ray. Jen, do you know? Walt ended up releasing her to her son TJ and to her neighbor Bill. So that's who he gave her to. All right. Do you remember how long Ray has been hiding from this crime family? From the time he left and changed his name to the current time, do you know how many years it had been? Okay, Jen said she was going to say released her to her neighbor, and that's correct. So Roseanne, you said 10 years, and Jen, you said 4 years. So the winner is Roseanne. She is closest. It was 11 years. So he had been kind of on the run for 11 years. All right. So now we're at the coroner's office, and Walt is sitting there. And how does he determine that Ray, because we think this is still Ray's body, of course, we've seen the show, so we know that Ray's alive at that moment. But here's this dead body on the examining table that we believe is Ray's. How does Walt determine that Ray was shot with a .45 caliber gun? What does he do to prove that, yep, this body's been shot with a .45 caliber gun? You're right, Roseanne. And so are you, Jen. He sticks a bullet into the hole and says, yep, it's a 45. All right. But in that same moment, how did Walt determine that the body from the barn wasn't Ray's? He and Vic are talking, and he tells Vic, this is not Ray's body. What made him think that? That was one of the reasons, Roseanne, the formaldehyde, and there was something else. It had something to do with the bullet holes. You're right. He could smell the embalming fluid on him, but there was something else. That's right, Jen. If that had been Ray's body, the bullet would have stayed in the brain, but there was an exit wound. And so that told Walt that there was no mass between the entrance and the exit room. It was too much of a clean shot. So, how does Walt determine? So he goes to the graveyard that's right out there from Ray's house. And how does he determine which grave to dig up? That's right, Jen. It wouldn't have blown out the other side. So when Walt goes to this family grave, how does Walt determine which of all the graves that are out there, which one to dig up? That's right, Jen. Look at you, Roseanne. Oh my gosh. You ladies are killing this. So, yes, he went to the one that was most recently buried. And I didn't catch the year, Roseanne, so you're doing amazing. All I heard was it had been 5 years since that last person had passed. And so, Jen, you're saying 2007. So all I know is it had been 5 years since that last person had passed. And so Ray had dug up the most recent body and planted it in the barn. And so, of course, Walt finds the empty or the casket empty of that person. And he actually gave the name of that person, but I didn't write it down. All right. So what do we learn about the marshal? Y'all are so silly. That's right. He's not a marshal. So who is he working for? Very good. He's part of the mob. Very, very true. All right. So Walt finds Ray. Where does he end up finding Ray? He gave away the information of where everybody was to that fake detective guy. All right, so what was his name? Let me go look at last week's notes real quick. Ferg, is his name Ferg, the deputy? He gives away where everyone is to the fake marshal. So where does Walt find Ray? So now that he knows Ray's alive, he does eventually find Ray. And where does he find him? Thank you, Jim. His name is Ferguson. All right. He does find Ray in a basement cellar, but it's not his house. It is his neighbor Bill's house is where he finds him. All right. And yeah, the guy with the glasses is the deputy. I think they call him Ferg, but Jen has told us his name is Ferguson and they call him Ferg. But he was talking to the guy that pretended to be the marshal. And he told him where everybody was, where Walt was at the coroner's office, excuse me, and that Alice was at her neighbor's house with her son. All right. So Walt has found Ray in his neighbor's cellar, and Ray tells Walt why he needed the insurance money. So why did Ray need the insurance money from the horses? Well, when Walt first found Ray, he was crouched down in the cellar. And Walt was like, "Hey, Ray." So they get to talking, and Ray tells him that the reason he did this was to get the horse insurance money. That's right, Jen, because they were broke and he had no more of that mob money that he had run off with 11 years prior. He had spent it all. So they were broke, and this was the only way that they could survive. And Walt was not happy with that. And so there were three things that he said to Ray. He was upset about this, and he called him three things. Do you know what those three things were? No, he didn't tell him to pay back the mob. Walt tells him there's a man standing before me, and he is that was the third one, Jen. He did call him a coward. He says, I see a horse murderer, I see a grave robber, and a man whose wife and son are upstairs with a gun to their head while he's down here warm and safe. And Ray says, I'm not a coward. So, Roseanne, you mentioned this. So what did Walt end up doing to Ray? This is where he ended up handcuffing him to the rafters. And so then Walt goes to go upstairs to try and see if he can assess the situation and get it under control. All right. How did the bad guy find out that Ray, aka Oscar Ernesto, was there? Yes, Jen. Walt handcuffed him to a pipe. But you got it, Roseanne. The fact that he was tied to the rafters. He was handcuffed, but you got it. And so we're at the very end now. And the bad guy learns that Ray is there because Ray calls out to him. He says, hey, this is Oscar Ernesto. And so what does the bad guy start doing? You're right, Jen. Ray shouted it out. And so how did the bad guy respond? That's right, Jen. He shot him through the floor. He just started just shooting through the floor. And so Walt runs down to the basement, and there's Ray hanging by one arm, blood coming down his chest. And he looks at Walt and he says, I told you I wasn't a coward. And then he dies. So at the very, very, very end of the show, after they're back at the police station, Ferg comes and he hands over his gun and his badge. And he's saying, look, Walt, I know you did me did a favor for my dad, but this is not for me. So my question is, why do you feel that Ferg had to turn his badge in? Roseanne, you're good, my friend. You remembered the part about him being late to work and trying to make an excuse. But also because he kept messing up and he gave out that information and he felt like that made him not a great deputy. And Walt told him, that's right, Jen. He told the mob guy where Alice was. And Walt was like, yeah, I may have been doing a favor for your dad, but We're just going to see. So he would not let Ferg turn his stuff in. And I agree, Jen. He felt really bad that he'd let the sheriff down. And in a sense, Alice and TJ, because they could have gotten killed. And TJ, in his mind at that point, had already lost his dad, and it'd have been bad if he lost his mom. In the end, he didn't lose his dad, but he did lose his dad. So, all right. And then the last discussion question I have that will wrap up tonight is, why do you think Walt wanted to keep the horse alive when over 50% of its body was burned? Why do you think Walt wanted to keep the horse alive when over 50% of its body was burned? I really like your answer, Roseanne. And that was to give TJ hope that the horse would make it and remind him of his dad's work. And Jen, you said that he had the hope for the horse. Yeah, because it really bothered Walt that he learned that Ray was alive, and he was desperate enough that he would actually allow his horses to be burnt. Now, here's this avid horseman. I mean, he had to truly be desperate, because those horses were Ray's life. It was his way of life. Even though he realistically apparently wasn't going to horse shows and he wasn't winning trophies, he truly cared about those animals. But in his desperation, he did kill them. And except for that one, which it didn't really allude to us if it died or not. Because the horse knocked the little spirit sack off of him and raised its head up a little bit. So it does not show us the horse passing. So I'm curious to see. Okay. I was reading y'all's comments. I know you gotta love spell check. So it's curious to see if the horse actually makes it. And I really like your answer, Roseanne, that yes, to give him hope, like you and Jen said, but also to help keep his dad's legacy alive. Because at this point, technically they don't reveal to us that Alice and TJ even know that Ray was alive. But we know that Alice at least knows, because when Ray called out and said, "Hey, this is Oscar Ernesto," well, she knew then. But it makes me wonder if she knew all along. So, I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you think Alice knew that Ray was not dead? Do you think that they were in cohorts about that and just protected their son from the truth? I don't know. You think he died, Jen? They might have been gracious and didn't show us that. Although I'd rather see that horse kind of die peacefully in its sleep than the image they gave us in the barn of the burnt horses. But when Walt said to TJ to let him know if he wanted to see the horse, wasn't that before he went back for the last visit that they showed? Wasn't that when he was leaving the house, the neighbor's house, that he asked that, and then it showed Walt, and Walt took that, I'm calling it a spirit sack, but that Indian thing that was around his neck, he took it off and he put it on the horse. I guess we'll find out. But Jen, if you know, I appreciate you not spoiling it. I kind of feel the same way because Jen, you said you don't think she knew about Ray being alive. I kind of agree with you because when Walt walks up to her to the back door and looks in and she's watching the video of Ray and their son, the way she's watching that with, you know, you can see and feel the grief. You can also see the joy that comes over her remembering that memory. The emotions were too raw and too real, I think, in that moment. And if she knew he was alive, number one, I don't think she'd even been watching that video. So, because it's not like she knew Walt was coming. So I agree with you, Jen. I don't think she knew. She did seem to be calm. I do agree. It does make you wonder because if she knew he was alive, why would she have been watching that video if she thought she was by herself? Unless she was just watching it to watch it. I don't know. And I saw something one of y'all said, and I missed it. Let's see where it went to. Oh, maybe you took it back, Roseanne. I thought I saw something about when she was leaving the jail, but true that. You're right, Roseanne. It wasn't at the house. It was not at the house. You are very correct. It was at the jail. So that was way before he went to that last visit, and that horse shook that little sack off as if to say, "Not today, I'm not dying." So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if the horse died or not. The horse definitely appeared to have a lot of fight left in him. So, well, that's all the questions I have for these episodes. Do y'all have anything more that you want to add? I know that we have more people that come on here that don't, and we may not find out, Jen. I don't know. Um, because what I'm seeing from the episodes so far in the first three, while some of the characters interlocked from episode to episode, the episodes also seem to kind of stand on their own. Like, here's an incident, and we go through the process of figuring it out and resolving it, and that ends. But then we still have the other characters that continue to interlock from episode to episode. So you're right, we may not find out about the horse. And if we don't, then I don't know. I'm going to believe that because that horse knocked that little sack off and popped its head up and showed its stubbornness and its will to live, that it lives. I'm going to think the positive route. And you're right. Several times, actually, Roseanne, TJ wanted to shoot the horse and get it out of its misery. I agree, Roseanne. You and Jen were spot on. And Valina was too. I think we were lagging a little bit at times. And so her answers were coming in a little bit just behind it. But that's what I was starting to tell y'all. We had a lot of people that were in here, but they weren't, talking. They weren't telling us that they were here. And so I appreciate you ladies being great sports and participating. And hopefully eventually we'll pick up a few more people and that participation will, be more than just a few select few. But if not, I will be honest, I am right with you, Roseanne. I thoroughly have enjoyed this. This has been like the best. The last 2 Fridays have been absolutely amazing. And now I just look forward to every Friday. And then it's going to be even more fun when we start our project, our Longmire project. So I am so excited about that. And as we go through that project, if there's something that y'all want to add to it or be the next part or something, just let me know. Just tell me. Because I know at some point I've got to be kind of like the facilitator of this, but it doesn't have to be my creativity alone. So anyway, Jen, I agree. Not having known anything about Longmire or that it even existed so far, I'm enjoying the show. And my husband and my brother-in-law also got in on it with me when I was watching episode 1. That night we actually watched episode 1, 2, and 3, and we stopped because my brother-in-law went to bed. My husband was dozing off, and so I paused it because I didn't want to get so far ahead for fear that when we were talking about it, that my brain would remember something and I would blurt it out. But that's when I came up with the idea of creating the questions, and I rewatched episode 1 later before last Friday and came up with the questions. And then I watched 2 and 3 again this past Saturday, like I was saying, when I was at work. And then I rewatched them again today. So as I went through my questions, I was making sure that my brain was refreshed as well. So I don't know. How do we get others to come in and join in? Because it would be so much fun. The more the merrier. And everybody giving answers, it just would kind of go in a flow a little bit smoother. Not that there's anything wrong with where it's been. No, they're not giving me questions. But my husband did say he would watch it with me and try to give input and insight. And y'all are welcome, as you're watching it, to jot down something or even create some questions or something for, or like a discussion question. And after we go through the questions I have before we go on to the next episode, we can discuss them. So please feel free to do that too. But I haven't seen Bree, and I did email her back, because after we agreed to do this, she sent me a personal email and said she was so thankful that we were going to do something with her idea. So then I emailed her back and told her what we had decided about watching it and coming and discussing it. Well, then I went back on this past week and sent her another email and said, hey, I hope you can join us. We're actually doing it like a Q&A and crocheting while we do it. And I haven't heard back from her, and I haven't seen her on here. And I feel like if she were here, she'd have said, hey. So, but I don't know, maybe I might need to do like a little short video, like in the middle of the week. Maybe it's some slideshows or something. Just say, you know, something catchy, like yay, Jen. I'm so glad. I didn't get very far. I just made a couple stitches in my magic ring. But I did eat. Maybe I can put a small little slideshow out where the slides talk, so to speak, with music, just doing like, you know, a 1-minute reminder that we're having this and we're going to be doing a crochet along project. What do you think? Something that people can see and maybe be reminded. I know I'm sending like the schedule thing out every Saturday, which this past week it got out Sunday morning, and hopefully I'll get it out tomorrow. I got a couple more slides to finish on it. But maybe if I do something catchy, you know, kind of like the shout out thing, maybe that'll help. So, because it's definitely something very relaxed and fun. Like I'm just truly having a blast. The pizza was good. He did a great job. I still have 2 pieces left though. Too bad y'all couldn't be here to join me. Can you do a clip of Longmire? I don't know. Would that infringe on copyright laws? I could probably do that. That I could probably do. And what I could even do every week is capture a picture of something from each episode and put it in a thumbnail and incorporate in that short little video. So that's something, good idea, Jen. Good idea. Because that wouldn't really be an infringement, because it's just a picture. It's not, you know, moving. It's not any of the script being talked. So, but I do think that once people start truly catching on to what this is, I think it might be something really, really fun. Or, this is not a word, but funner than the fun we're already having. because I do think that the more people we have and the more people responding, the more engagement and interaction. It would also kind of speed the questions up a little bit, but it would also give us time to engage more into like those discussion questions. And then if viewers are also trying to think of discussion questions, I think that would be fun. So I love that our creative brains are collectively working together. But I agree. I think it would be definitely a lot more fun. And I also think too, as I do those little quick videos, maybe I'll do it on Wednesdays so that they're catching it just a couple days before we're doing it, so that that gives them a little bit of time to go try and catch the episodes, but then also not too far out that they forget about it. And then as we add to our blanket, I can also take a picture of like mine and incorporate it. And then if any of the viewers want to send me pictures of theirs as they're going along, I can incorporate those into those little weekly videos. I love that. That would be awesome. Making more classroom friends. YouTube slumber party. Next week I'll have to pop me some popcorn. I ate pizza this time. Next time I'll have to munch on some popcorn. Earlier tonight, in my cup to hook conversations, am I back? Okay. Thank you, Roseanne. So as I was saying, I think that's what I'll do is I'll do that small little clip and I'll include a screenshot of a scene from each episode that we're going to watch in that upcoming or discuss in that upcoming week. And as we begin our blanket and add on to it, I will include pictures of that. And if anyone sends me pictures of theirs through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, then I can include snapshots of their blankets as well. And I think that will be kind of a way to kind of some people intrigued and interested. Excellent, excellent idea, Jen. Excellent. So, all right. I'm a busy girl. I got to get busy. So, well, you ladies have a great night. This has been so much fun. I just am just filled with so much joy. No pun intended to my channel, but literally I'm just filled with joy. I truly enjoy getting to know you so much better and having this time. I really do look forward to hanging out with you. I don't have that other stuff, but I could email a pic. That would be great. So, so as I'm watching the episodes this coming week, for next week of episode 4 and 5, when I finish an episode, I will just kind of flip back through it and just take a screenshot of something really significant and maybe eye-catching, and I'll use that as a thumbnail. And so Yep, yep. I think this is going to be great. So, all right, ladies. Well, have a great night. Thank you for hanging in here with me, and I will see you definitely next Friday. Hope you have a great week. Be joyful. And as always, stay crafty in your own way and make your own joyful creations. And I will see you soon. Bye.